Continuing Superfudge. Sorry, this post is a little bit late. All right. Grandma came to visit the following weekend and was surprised to find that Fudge no longer slept in the hallway outside my parents' bedroom. I have to sleep in my own room now, Fudge told her. Uncle Feather needs me. Of course he does, Grandma said, standing in front of Uncle Feather's cage. And you're a lovely birdie, aren't you? Lovely birdie, Uncle Feather said. Grandma laughed. Oh my, and so smart. So smart, smart. Oh my, so smart, Uncle Feather said. That night, Mom and Dad went out and Grandma stayed at home with us. We all watched TV together. Tootsie was on Grandma's lap, having her late-night bottle. So how's kindergarten going? Grandma asked Fudge. I have a nice teacher, he said. She says I'm as sweet as my name. Well, you are, aren't you? Grandma said. I snorted. Do you think I am? Fudge asked Grandma. I certainly do, Grandma told him. I snorted again. All the time? Fudge asked. Maybe not all the time, Grandma said, but most of the time. Then why do you come here just to play with Tootsie and not me? I come to see all of you, Grandma said, burping Tootsie. But you're always holding her, Fudge said, and singing dumb songs to her. They're not dumb, I said. They're from when Grandma was a girl. You were a girl? Fudge asked, trying to get up on Grandma's lap. Certainly, Grandma said, shifting Tootsie into her other arm to make room for Fudge. You were little, like me? Yes, Grandma said, and I went to school just like you. Fudge shoved Tootsie out of the way, so Grandma passed her to me. What did you do there? Fudge asked. Oh, I sang songs and painted pictures and played games and learned to read. You learned to read in kindergarten? Maybe it was first grade, Grandma said, patting Fudge's head. It was a long time ago. It's hard for me to remember. You know what, Grandma? Fudge said. No, what? I'm the middle child now, so I need lots of attention. Who told you that? Grandma asked. I heard Mommy talking on the phone. It's more important for you to play games with me than with Tootsie, and you should try to remember that. What about me? I asked. Where do I fit in? You don't need attention, Fudge said. You're in 6th grade. I was beginning to get annoyed. That doesn't mean I don't need attention. Everybody needs attention, Grandma said. Even you? Fudge asked. Yes, even me, Grandma told him. Who gives you attention? Fudge asked Grandma. My family and my friends, Grandma said. You should get a bird, Fudge said. A bird would give you lots of attention. A bird wouldn't care if you were the middle child or not. Neither would a dog, I said. You should get a dog like Turtle. As soon as he heard his name, Turtle looked up and barked. Tootsie opened her eyes and said, "Ga-ga-goo-goo." That's right, I told her. Now go back to sleep. Grandma went upstairs to tuck Fudge into bed, and I went up to put Tootsie into her crib. Good night, sleep tight, Grandma said to Fudge. Good night, sleep tight, good night, Uncle Feather called. Grandma dropped the cover over his cage. It's the only way to shut him up. And even then he kept on calling, good night, until I kicked the base of his cage. After we'd had Uncle Feather for 2 weeks, Fudge was ready to bring him to school for show and tell. Miss Ziff invited the other kindergarten class to come and see him, and I got special permission from Mr. Green to skip half of English and go down to Fudge's room in case of an emergency. Mrs. Hildebrandt's kindergarten class marched in and sat in a circle on the floor, right behind Fudge's class. Uncle Feather's cage stood in the middle of the circle. When everyone was settled, Fudge pulled the cover off the cage and said, "Presenting Uncle Feather!" Ooh, all the little kids said. What a beautiful bird Farley has, Mrs. Hildebrandt said. Isn't he a beautiful bird, class? Yes, Mrs. Hildebrandt's class answered, sounding like robots. Yes, what? Mrs. Hildebrandt asked. Yes, Farley has a beautiful bird, her class said together. He speaks French, Fudge said. Does he really? Mrs. Hildebrand asked. Yes, Fudge told her. Well, what a coincidence, Mrs. Hildebrand said. So do I. She went right up to Uncle Feather's cage, bent way over, and said, Parlez-vous français? Uncle Feather cocked his head, looked straight at her, and said, Bonjour, stupid. Chapter 8. Naturally Fortified. I want to be a ghost for Halloween, Fudge said. A scary, scary ghost. I think we can arrange that, Mom said. She was feeding Tootsie purple mush from a jar. Tootsie lets half of every spoonful ooze right back out of her mouth so that Mom has to scrape it off her face and start all over again. It takes 3 tries to finish off one baby spoonful. Feeding Tootsie can be an all-day project. What about you, Peter? Mom asked. What do you want to be for Halloween? 6th graders don't wear costumes, I said. Really? Mom said. When I was in 6th grade. That was a long time ago, I said, interrupting her. 100 years or more? Fudge asked. Not quite, Mom told him. What's Tootsie going to be for Halloween? Fudge asked. A baby, I told him. Ha ha, Peter, Fudge said, laughing. You're funny. Every time Fudge laughs, Tootsie laughs too. And when she laughs with her mouth full, she really makes a mess. So now she had plums all over her face, plums drooling down her bib, plums stuck in her hair, and plums covering her rattle, which she banged on her tray as she laughed. Turtle hangs around when Mom is feeding Tootsie. He's developed a taste for baby food. Mom says it isn't good for him. He needs to chew up hard food to exercise his teeth and jaw. And once a week, I give him a special tablet to help his breath. Lately, he has the worst dog breath. I'm glad Sheila Tubman isn't around to tell me how bad my dog smells, because this time she'd be right. Fudge says Turtle should rinse twice a day with Precious Breath, this new blue mouthwash that's advertised on TV. Fudge is very big on commercials. He's memorized all of them, and when we go to the supermarket, he drives us up the wall reciting his dumb jingles about why we should buy this product instead of that one. My father spends his mornings at the university library and works at home in the afternoons. How's the book coming? I asked him one day when I got home from school. Slowly, Peter, he said, very slowly. I'm still gathering information. I hope to finish my research by Christmas and start the actual writing after the holidays. Fudge stood in the doorway, nibbling a piece of cheese. Dr. Seuss can write a book in an hour, he said. How do you know that? I asked. I don't, but I'll bet you he can, Fudge said. 1 fish, 2 fish, red fish, blue fish. Do you like green eggs and ham? I do. I like them, Sam I am. Okay, that's enough, I said. Boys, I'm trying to work now, Dad said. Do you think you could move to another room? Later, we were watching the 6 o'clock news when Fudge's favorite commercial came on the air. Oh, look, he said, it's my dancing cats. And he put down his Lego toys and watched. Everybody knows that cats can't really dance, I told him. It's just a lot of fancy camera work. Shut up, Peter, he said. Then he turned to Dad. They have cat food commercials and dog food commercials and people food commercials. So how come they don't have bird food commercials? Well, that's a good question, Fudge, Dad said without really answering it. Mina birds of the world unite, I began, trying to think up a clever commercial for bird food. What's unite? Fudge asked. Never mind. You sound like Uncle Feather when you say things twice, Fudge said. It's contagious, I told him. What's contagious? Forget it, I said. We should feed Uncle Feather Choco, Fudge said. If you give it to the one you love first thing in the morning, you don't have to worry the rest of the day. It has 45 vitamins. No, I said, that's not it. It's fortified with vitamins. That's what I said, 45 vitamins. Not 45, I told him. Fortified. And I spelled it for him. Fortified. It means that vitamins have been added. It does? Fudge asked. Yes, I said. And anyway, you shouldn't believe everything you see on TV. Right, Dad? That's right, Dad said. You lie when you make up commercials? Fudge asked. No, but we sometimes exaggerate, Dad said. What's exaggerate? Fudge asked. We embellish to make our point, Dad said. What's embellish? Sometimes Dad has to stretch the truth, I explained. Thank you, Peter, Dad said. That's a very good way of putting it. How do you know so much, Peter? Partly because I'm in 6th grade and partly because I'm naturally smart, I answered. Then how come you got a 58 on your geography test? Fudge asked. Because Mr. Bogner tricked us with matching questions. What's matching questions? It's what teachers do to you to prove you aren't as smart as you think, I said. You'll find out someday. But I am as smart as I think, Fudge said. So there. I wasn't about to get in an argument over that one. On Friday afternoon, Alex and I were downtown. We stopped off at the movie theater to have a look at the display of Superman photos. I had already seen Superman in New York, but Alex had missed it, so we decided that when it comes to town, we'll try to go and see it together. Next to the movie theater was an art gallery. There was something familiar about one of the paintings in the window. It was all white, with 2 black circles in the middle and a red square in the upper left-hand corner. I know that painting, I said to Alex. It doesn't look like much to know, Alex said. I snapped my fingers. That's a Frank Fargo painting. Alex shrugged. Who's Frank Fargo? My friend's father. I was over when he was working on it, I said. Let's go in. The only other person in the gallery was a very tall, skinny woman with a neck like a giraffe's and more curly hair than I'd ever seen. She was really good looking. I liked the way she walked, with her head high and her back straight. Hello, what can I do for you? She asked us. We were wondering about that painting in the window, I said, the white one with the circles. It's called Anita's Anger, she said, and it's by Frank Fargo. I told you, I said to Alex, who didn't seem that interested. I know him, I said to Giraffe Neck. He's my friend's father. Really? She asked. Yes. How much does it cost? Alex asked. $2,500, she told him. What? Alex said. For that? Yes, he's becoming quite famous. But it's nothing, Alex argued. I'll bet I could paint the same thing in an hour. Just like Dr. Seuss can write a book in an hour, I muttered. What's that got to do with it? Alex asked. Nothing. Forget it. It may look simple, she said, but I assure you it takes a lot of talent to paint that way. That night I asked my parents if they knew that Frank Fargo was becoming famous. Yes, Dad said. Didn't you? No, nobody ever told me. Nobody ever tells me anything. Mom and I are considering one of his paintings. It's in a gallery downtown. That white thing with the black circles and the red square, I asked. That's the one, Dad said. Do you like it? I don't know, I said. It sure does cost a lot. That's the problem, Dad said. But now that I'm going back to work, Mom began, looking up from her needlepoint. You're going where? I said. Back to work, she told me. I've been offered a part-time job by Dr. Monroe, a dentist in town. I thought you were sick of teeth, I said. I thought you wanted to study art history. Art history will have to wait, Mom said. For now, I've decided to be more practical. I looked at Dad. It's because of the book, I thought. That stupid book. You wouldn't have to be practical if Dad was president of the advertising agency, would you? Peter, Mom sounded angry. That's not a very thoughtful thing to say. And I'm going to leave it there. And we'll read more Fudge tomorrow.